And welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who got a game right this week in the Pick'em show. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing good, yeah. So I actually got it wrong because we were talking pre-show. We went 2-10 this week on picks, straight up. And I got both of those right, by the way.
Nice, good work.
So this was a wild day. I mean, 3 1-loss teams in the morning slate picked up wins. I mean, this was good stuff, exciting football, and this just talks about the craziest thing of the NFL. Anybody can win any given week. It's unlike any sport with that.
Yeah, I was at a game this week. I went to the Buccaneers Falcons game. I forgot to put on sunblock and am now very red. So I'm doing my best Bruce Arians impersonation here on the show. So yeah, that was we'll get into everything that happened there. Crazy week, crazy baseball day. A lot of great sports.
We're gonna have primetime Kirk Cousins and a Game 7 baseball game on the same night. So
yeah,
we're witnessing.
6.
And a Game 6, we're witnessing greatness tomorrow. I don't know who it's going to be, but someone's going to be great.
Yeah, probably the 49ers in that one. But apparently not. Who knows with how this week went. Starting with the Dolphins-Eagles, I locked up the Miami Dolphins to win this one. They didn't come close. They lost by 2 touchdowns. This was a very good performance by Philadelphia. I do think that I'm not, again, concerning. I'm not overly concerned by Tua in this one. Tua had he missed some. This wasn't the best Tua day, right?
It wasn't the best Tua day, but at the same time, Tyreek Hill again was awesome. As good as Tyreek Hill was, he had a couple bad drops.
Yeah,
there were some misplays here for Miami. But you know me, I'm a positive guy. Plus, my team won, so I got to be even more positive. I think this was a really good win for the Eagles. I thought Jalen Hurts had some misses, had some bad throws, but also made some really good plays. I thought the second half, this Eagles offense kind of came alive. And I thought a lot of it had to do with the defensive pressure of this Eagles team, where it started with their distinct advantage on the defensive line against the Miami offensive line that I thought rushed some of Tua's throws. And then the secondary, which I kind of talked about, has been a concerning point to start this year, easily putting in its best performance of the season, I think, in this one. I thought they did really well covering in this game. And yes, Tyreek beat him a couple times, including that end of half bomb. But for the most part, they did a pretty good job against a team that has been explosive all year and limiting a lot of those big plays. I mean, 6.8 yards per attempt for Tua is basically the Blaine Gabbert zone for anybody else.
Right. I mean, Tyreek Hill, 11 catches, 88 yards, and a touchdown. You're like, wow, handled him nice. Got him now.
Yeah, he got shut down in this game. So this was this was a good one for the Eagles. I thought they really impressed. A.J. Brown had a terrific day. And like I said, I think that, the offense took a little bit to get going for Philadelphia, I thought, in this game. But I thought they looked really good in the second half and made some clinical plays, and I thought Jalen came up with some big throws towards the end too. So this was just a good win all around for the Eagles. No notes for them. I think this is the kind of team we think is still a Super Bowl contender and could easily win the Lombardi this year.
Yeah, they're really impressive. And for the Miami Dolphins, it's an imperfect team, right? Like they are a flawed team, but I still good, and I still think that the pro way to cons. But it is, it's a disappointing loss, as you can't have too many of these. It's against a good team. And I do think that this game was kind of maybe a little closer than the score would indicate, which is crazy because they also had a pick 6 in this one. I do feel like if they play football, I think this is a closer game. Philadelphia, I don't know. Philadelphia football team, clearly. It's a good matchup here, I think, with their defensive line against Miami's offensive line, which is also banged up, which isn't good.
Yeah. I mean, the injuries are piling up a little bit. Philadelphia, the yards per play wasn't that much different. And they actually won the turnover battle. But I mean, Philadelphia, what the Eagles are. They run 1 billion plays. They had 20 more plays in this game. They converted 4 fourth downs. I mean, this is exactly what the Eagles wanted to do, right? They got a lead in this game, and I just said I thought their offense looked excellent in the second half. They scored 14 points in the second half. They didn't need to score a whole bunch because this team just sucks the life out of football games. That's what they do best. This is how they win football games, and this is how they dominate. And they did exactly that. I'm not concerned about Miami either. I'm not overly worried about it, but because it's still too small of a sample size, right? It's still 7 games. But, we started to see the graphics this week of the teams Miami's beaten versus losing to Buffalo. Now there's another thing in there against them where, the best team they may have beat this season is what? The Los Angeles Chargers. And the two big tests, granted, they were on the road. They're tough games. It's a small sample size. They lost by double digits to both Buffalo and Philadelphia this year.
Yeah. In 2 weeks, they will get another real test playing City. And, hey, who knows what's going to happen next week with the Patriots, what they did. But, definitely. So, someone bring up, are you going to talk about the penalty? Might have to just make a segment here. A lot of controversial penalties in this one. There was, I think, the notable one, missed face mask against Miami that, been called and but again, I don't think that was the difference here.
Yeah. I only got about half of that. Your Wi-Fi is struggling here to start off the show.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully that clears. Can you hear
hopefully
me?
It clears up. But yeah, I can hear you okay. But yeah, I mean, there are some bad penalties, but I was watching all these games, and yeah, I mean, the penalties were what, 10-0. So does it matter a little bit? Like, yeah, I also think Philadelphia was the better team today. Like, I don't think the penalties would have swung the game in Miami's favor or anything. And you know what? I think we're going to go through a lot of games today that happened, and I think we could talk about penalties in almost all of them. And it's not a very fun way to talk about the game. I did think they could have called the pass interference. Miami ended up getting the pick six on like the very next play, anyways. So I don't think it was, it wasn't the biggest deal, but at the same time, yeah, there were some missed calls that I thought Philly could have had against them. I thought, Miami was a little hard down by that, but I don't think it would have swung the game.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm so done with look, we'll get into it. You have to talk about it when it matters. The blaming the refs thing, it is always something that drives. I say how sometimes that's like all that gets talked is like the referees and O's, and like I feel like it's such a small part of the game, but it takes up such a large part of the conversation.
Yes. Takes up a very large part of the conversation. This is in every sport. At sooner or later, we're just going to have to accept there's a human element to the game. Robo referees are not going to happen. Like, it's just not.
Right.
So, sooner or later, we're just going to have to accept there's a human element part of the game. And yes, you don't want it to happen. But at the same time, like, again, I think Philadelphia was better today. I don't think that the penalties would have changed that. Maybe it would have made it a little closer. Maybe Miami would have had a few bigger plays, but at the same time, I don't think Miami wins this game, even if the penalties were called.
Yeah. Move on. Talk about an AFC East. Go to a couple of AFC East teams, Kyle, as your Patriots are all the way the dominant 2 Patriots beat the Bills. What does it say more about the Bills here, Kyle?
Probably the Bills, honestly. And I mean, does it say a lot about the Bills? Because this is the same crap we say every season with this team. Like, which Bills team is going to show up week to week is the question. And this is another week where Buffalo kind of isn't awake for the first half of this game and looks disheveled. And Josh Allen, his numbers weren't even that bad in this game. And I actually thought he played well in the fourth quarter to obviously give this team the lead late. But he looked horrible in the first half. He missed some easy throws. He made a really bad throw on the interception, staring down his receiver. I thought he had poor first half, definitely. I thought he turned it on late. And this Buffalo team, man, like week after week, it's like, what the hell is this team? What is this team going to be? We keep saying this team's a contender. You know what? Or a fringe contender. I don't think this team's a fringe contender right now because I can't guarantee this team can play 3 straight good weeks of football. And that's what it's going to take to make it to a Super Bowl, never mind win it. And I can't guarantee this team's going to play 3 good weeks. So I'm out on Buffalo for now. I'm out on them as a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I mean, I don't think you can have them ahead of Kansas City or Miami at all. I don't think you can have them over Baltimore at this point with what Baltimore just did. I still think I would probably take Cincinnati over them right now. Like there's just
Philly's got some voodoo magic working for them or something like that, so maybe they're ahead too. No.
right, yeah, clearly. It just, I mean, there's a blueprint now, right? There's a way to beat this Buffalo Bills team. Like this is a fundamental. There's still going to be plenty of teams that aren't going to run the right strategy and are going to get burned. I'm very worried my team's going to do that this Thursday against them, right? If you play
Mhm.
single safety deep, they can still get shots down the field. But if you can take away those deep shots, it's just tough. And we also have a great super chat from the great Overlap 618. Never fear, Overlap is here. I took a second mortgage out and put it all into Patriots. I am now rich, and this dream will reap the benefits. Great. And we always recommend take out a second mortgage and bet on the Patriots.
Yep, Overlap, you're coming to my second wedding. Congratulations. What was I going to say now? Yeah, I mean, and the funny thing is like the Patriots kind of let down some situations in this game too. It wasn't like they played well. It wasn't like they played lights out football though. They missed some key tackles. They extended some drives from the Bills with some bad penalties. One of the roughing passers I didn't agree with, but they extended some Bills drives with some bad penalties. They settled for field goals on multiple drives when they could have put this game away. And still, Buffalo wasn't really able to take advantage until the very end of this game. So, yeah, I mean, the blueprint, like you said, is there for Buffalo. And I just think that I just can't trust this team. I really can't. And I just think I don't know what it's going to change. And, we talked about the secondary receiver help. Like Dalton Kincaid was good in this game. They had options. James Cook looked pretty explosive in this game. It just doesn't feel like it's enough sometimes for this Bills team. And I don't know how to fix it.
Because Johnson isn't very good.
Is it because who's not very good?
Josh Allen.
No. Listen, as the biased Patriots fan, I may have made some Carson Wentz, Josh Allen. They're the same picture memes today.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like I don't actually believe that. I mean, he's still really talented. But I mean, we continue to say with Josh Allen, there is the 10% of dumbassery that prevents Josh Allen from being the best quarterback in football, right? Or at least in the same stratosphere as Mahomes. Like there is the 10% of like, just what are you doing that prevents him from being in that very, very top tier of quarterback. And it started with the first pass of this game. He stared down a receiver, Jabril Peppers, continuing his fantastic season with the pick. And then even in the last drive, they ended up like surviving and scoring the leading touchdown. But he like had this rollout play where he was getting chased by a defensive end. He threw the ball just straight up into the air in the end zone. And like Kyle Duggar alligator arms it and drops it. And that would have been the game too right there if he just caught the ball in the end zone. And he just like, there's so many of these plays for Allen that it's like, you're too talented to be making these mistakes still at this point in your career.
Yeah, I'm with you. Also, again, sorry about the internet being a little bit weird on my end. Hold on, I have it plugged in. I literally have it plugged into the route everything. I wanted to call the internet company, which is all. But yeah. Anyway, agree with everything you said, Kyle. I know you have more thoughts on this game. I don't know. I feel like I've kind of given thoughts, and I still think they're not good. I guess the one other thing is like with the Bills' injuries defensively, maybe their defense isn't as good as it has been in weeks past. Also concerning. So yeah, I mean, I still think the Bills are a playoff team. I still think the Patriots aren't very good, but I guess fun.
I mean, I would agree with that. It's a fun win. It's nice to get a division win too. But at the same time, it's like Trey White and Matt Milano aren't coming back anytime soon. Those guys are out for the year. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how that gets fixed unless they, go to the trade or something like that. But it definitely wasn't pretty in this game. So I do have some concerns for Buffalo going forward. A couple quick Patriots notes because they won and they're my team, and I guess I'm going to talk positively about them too.
Sure.
There's a few things that Patriots fans were clamoring for, and all of a sudden they do them this week, and it's shockingly everything seems to work. Sometimes the fans are right on things. So Valerian Lowe was the bane of my existence at right tackle. They get him out of the starting lineup, move Michael Onyenwu to right tackle. that seems to fix every offensive line problem all of a sudden. So Michael Onyenwu at right tackle, that's probably something that has to happen going forward. Demario Douglas was someone that is like he plays 5 plays a game, but they're like electric 5 plays. He gets involved in this game and comes up with some huge catches in this one. I thought he looked terrific again. I think he's someone who has to play a lot this season. The Patriots finally hit on a draft wide receiver. Demario Douglas, I think, looks fantastic. So I think those are the subtle tweaks to the offense that probably helped it look a lot better. Mac Jones read the defense well, made some really good plays. When Mac Jones can set his feet and throw, he continues to play decent. He continues to play solid. I thought he had one throw in this game that could have been picked off, but otherwise I thought it was a really nice day for him. And that quick passing game works at times with that group, but I'm not expecting much more for this team beyond that. It was a fun win, though.
Yeah, gotta celebrate the wins when they happen. It was as good of a week as it was for you. It was a tough week for me here, Kyle. Got to talk about the Buccaneers here. Don't typically want to just start the show with our team, but I feel like it feels right this week. This was a tough loss. Whichever team lost this game was going to feel like they blew it. I mean, Baker had just a not a great turnover there, an interception where receiver kind of stumbled, but still a risky throw to make there when you're in field goal range down 3 late in the fourth quarter. And then also there was Tampa Bay fumbled as well. Desmond Ridder fumbled 3 times, all in the red zone, 2 of them at the 1-yard line. This was a weird game, and ultimately the Falcons won. But it's weird because I feel like a lot of like the discourse online is talking about how it's almost like they lost. People are saying Ridder isn't the guy, which is probably, I don't know what else you do at this point. He did make some nice throws in this one. Obviously, the fumbles is the issue. And that my team not looking great so far. They still can't run the ball. Teams are still playing cover 2 zone, and they just have or quarters coverage, and they just have no answer.
Yeah, I mean, when they're not lining up man-to-man against Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, things tend to work. I mean, this team doesn't have a lot of options beyond that. As good as those guys are, they can only do so much if you're just going to play deep. I thought Rachaad White had a pretty good day, but he needs to be able to run the ball a little bit better than what he did, especially if they're going to play that deep, as you were saying. So I guess, Atlanta continues to be in these games where it seems like nobody wants to win them. And I don't know how they keep doing it, but it seems like they keep winning these games. It's just like, is this like this year's Giants where they're just going to pull some of these games out, it seems like? It might turn out to be the case, but, I thought Ridder, like you said, I thought he made some pretty good throws, 10 yards per attempt. Obviously, the 3 fumbles aren't going to help, but, it was a weird game. It seemed like both of these teams had a ton of opportunities to kind of win and put a stranglehold in this game, and it just kind of felt like nobody really did it. Nobody really took advantage.
Yeah. Kenneth Lee says NFC South gross. Yeah, a fair review, I think. NFC South looking pretty gross right here. I think Atlanta's better than the Giants were last year. I think that they have some legitimate pieces. They have a good because it's kind of those things. Fuck, every time there's a game like this, people say, "Wow, neither team deserved to win this one." Well, both teams' defense did. Teams' defense did show up. Except for Devin White making a stupid play. For the most part, it was well done defensively. And I do think Atlanta, they have a very clear strategy. It's just I don't know how far you can go with Desmond Ridder. People are clamoring for Taylor Heineke, which is never good. Never want to be saying that guy should be the guy. And also, I was at the game. People were shouting, put Kyle Trask in. We do not need Kyle Trask in this situation. That is not what this situation needs here for Tampa Bay. I didn't even think Baker was that bad other than, he missed a couple throws. You're not going to have a perfect day. But it's just, they don't have a way to get teams out of quarters coverage. I mean, when teams are playing 2 safeties deep and you're still having Rachaad White go 13 for 34, 2.6 yards per carry, that's brutal. And Keyshawn Vaughn was even worse. I mean, it's just, running the ball, obviously it's a passing league. You have to be able to pass the football. But if you can't run the ball at all, that is going to really hurt you.
Yeah. Especially when there's 4 players in the secondary deep down the field,
right?
You have to be able to at least run the ball when it's stacked in your favor, right? When teams are playing against your pass, you have to have that answer, and they just haven't. So I don't know. So you were in the building for this one. there was a lot of discourse about this game happening live. Were people in the stands like concerned for Bijan Robinson's health the entire game?
I didn't even fully realize. I noticed that Algier was getting a lot of carries, but I didn't fully realize like why.
Yeah. I don't know what happened. Like, he just didn't touch the ball.
Yeah.
It was very bizarre. Arthur Smith continues to befuddle me, but hey, they ran the ball well, so
He
maybe
hates fantasy
he knows.
football. He hates it. He's just doing whatever he can to make sure his star players do not get the ball as little amount as possible.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. Kyle Pitts had a crazy catch in this game.
Yeah,
like
he did.
The degree of difficulty on that catch was pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean,
it went for like 3 yards or something like that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Saints here in a second, but like, I don't know, man. Like, you could flip a coin on all these teams, and I'll just be like, sure, put them in as the 4 seed.
Yeah, I agree. It's like someone's gonna get the 4 seed. I just don't know. Like, it's if unless one of them can put it together, like unless I don't know if Atlanta trades for Kirk Cousins, that's obviously different. But like if Tampa Bay can figure out a way to get the running game going, if Derek Carr looks like Derek Carr again, I feel like the Saints probably have the highest potential outcome here. But yeah, I mean, it was a weird game, and like even with all of this, like Tampa Bay had a chance to take the lead late in the fourth quarter. They got the ball first and goal, and after Baker Mayfield had a big run, kind of like that one like Baker play to help set things up. They get a pass interference, and they still can't get it in because again, it's like okay, now they're still going to just put everyone in the end zone, and you can't run the ball. So what are you going to do? So Atlanta's scrappy. If they're a quarterback away, but a quarterback away is still pretty far.
Yeah. How good of a quarterback does Atlanta need to become a really, really good football team? Like fringe contender.
Like I guess Jared Goff.
Yeah, maybe.
Even that might be a little bit, maybe a little bit more. I think if they trade for Kirk Cousins in the NFC, they're now a fringe contender.
Yeah. Or sign him in the offseason, I guess.
I guess so, but yeah, either way.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, there's too many talented players on this offense for it to fail. And I do think Ritter has thrown the ball well the last 3 weeks. It's just, security.
Right. I mean, yeah, if you just saw the stat sheet, 250 yards on 25 attempts, like, wow. But yeah, and a lot of these throws aren't that difficult too. That's something that has to be factored in. Although some were, and he was able to hit them.
Yeah, I mean, I just like looking at the last 3 weeks. This was 19 to 25, 250 yards, 10 yards per attempt. The week before, it wasn't as good, but at the same time, like just looking at like the completions, 28 completions, 307 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then 28 completions, 329 yards a touchdown, 8.9 yards per attempt. Like he makes if he's able to find a way to eliminate like mistakes, and one of those mistakes was a touchback in the end zone because he was just careless with the ball. If he just eliminates those mistakes, like he makes good plays too. Like he has that in him.
Yeah. He's still a young player, so we'll see. Overlap 618 says people often call me the Kirk Cousins of this stream. Certainly must make as much money as Kirk Cousins does if all these super chats overlap 618.
Be funny if that was Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, are we sure it's not? I don't know if we are. Apologies if it is because we've been mean to Kirk Cousins.
I feel like among the NFL podcasts and rhetoric, we are more pro Kirk Cousins than others.
That's actually probably true. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins gets a lot of hate for just like simply being a fringe top 10 quarterback, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think you're right. We're mean to prime time Kirk Cousins. Yeah, disappointing loss. I mean, I think the Buccaneers have a chance to make the playoffs still in the division, but again, what's the ceiling here? I don't know, but who knows? If we beat Buffalo Thursday, I'm all the way back.
Yeah, I mean, you're a half game out of the division. You're fine. Mm-hmm. Like, you're still in a good spot. Obviously, you'd like to win this one at home, but, if you go beat Atlanta in the second game, you still have a shot to win this division, no doubt.
Yeah. Let's move on. Why don't we? Let's talk about this game. I don't really know what happened here. Browns Colts. Obviously, I was at the game, so I wasn't watching this live. And I look up, for one thing, at halftime, none of the scores made sense. The Giants were beating the Commanders. The Ravens were crushing the Lions. Patriots were up big. This game had like a crazy high score, and then the Bears are beating the Ravens. Like none of the games, I was like, what happened here? It's very much the meme of of I'm blanking on his name, the Community, with Childish Gambino. I don't know why I can't think of his name, but he's walking in with the pizzas and then like everything's
Oh,
on
the
fire.
fire, yeah.
Yeah, that was
Excellent.
what
All-time episode.
yeah.
This was a absolutely bonkers game. Gardner Minshew was just like, it was like a mixture of like sheer terror when he made a mistake combined with just like the most heroic plays you could ever see, like just running for his life and then throwing a dot on the run, combined with some like brutal fumbles and an interception too. But like the twists and turns of Gardner Minshew were enough in this game, not to mention PJ Walker playing on the other side of the field. So this game was just absolutely bonkers. The Browns defense definitely did not look like the Browns defense of the last few weeks that, I called the best
because they were in a dome.
Football. Yeah.
They're
no
bad
rain.
weather merchants.
But I just want to highlight Myles Garrett for like maybe had the most impactful half of football from a defensive player I've ever seen in my life. So this game was 27-21 at the half. Browns were ahead. And recapping the first half, Myles Garrett had a strip sack that resulted in a touchdown that they recovered in Colts territory. A blocked field goal that resulted in a field goal that they returned inside the 20, and a strip sack in the end zone that resulted in a touchdown. So 17 of their 27 first half points were basically off of plays Myles Garrett made. And then he almost opened the half with an interception on a screen pass. I mean, and then we're going to get to TJ Watt in a second, another big play that swung that game. I mean, the defensive player of the year race between these two might be the most fascinating storyline of the season, because he is easily the most impactful player on the Browns it's not even close. Like he's more impactful than a quarterback, like by a significant margin on the football team. It's incredible what he's doing. And he completely dominated this game for stretches. Unfortunately, the rest of his defense didn't show up to help him because this was a Herculean effort for him. And, this game just got absolutely bananas.
Well, yeah, and isn't this just perfect of like edge rusher has one of the all-time performances and team still puts up 38 points against them. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, and obviously, turnovers factor in and all that. What a weird situation here somehow the Browns score 39. And obviously it was a lot of the defensive plays, but like their quarterback play in 38 or 37 total attempts, no touchdowns, 2 picks, under 200 yards. Like they were nearing the Blaine Gabbert zone combined. Deshaun Watson got taken out of this game. That was a big storyline as it was injury related purposes. A lot of people didn't think the hit seemed that vicious, so there was some confusion there. But I would say, like, again, we're not doctors here. We don't know exactly what happened, but that's become a storyline. Is the Deshaun Watson kind of not really playing a lot with this injury?
Yeah, I think I'm out. Just totally. I'm just done with the situation. I was always, I think I have been one of the longest, like, let's wait and see when it all clicks. And it wasn't even like due to the injury and holding out or anything like that. It's just due to the, like, even when he was playing this game, he sucked. Like he straight up sucked in the, 5 passes he made. Like, I'm just completely out. I don't think this is a good quarterback anymore. I've never seen a fall from grace like this. Like Carson Wentz thing was like, yeah, he just, he was careless with the football. The turnover luck swung against him. Like, I've never seen a guy who was really, really good at football just become really, really bad over the span of a non-played season. Like, I'm just out. I'm out on Deshaun Watson completely. I don't think he's, the Browns are now going to win games in spite of him. And he's a $250 million player. Like, this is now a disaster. So until he proves otherwise, I need multiple game sample size. I'm out on Deshaun Watson completely. I'm just done.
Yeah, he looked good against the Titans, I guess, but so did Zach Wilson in his rookie year, right? Like, that's kind of it. I don't know. Browns fans are mad at me, but like, I just can't get behind this team that much. I just can't. Like, when your quarterback play is playing like this, and you're beating the Colts 39-38, like, there's things that are really impressive about this team. They have the best defensive player in the world. Sorry to Micah Parsons, Kyle, but it is Myles Garrett or TJ Watt. Those are the two, but I would say Myles Garrett. Like, I mean, there's so many things to like about this team, but it's just like, at the end of the day, they're going to have to go up against Kansas City, right? Or they're going to go up against Miami, or they're going to have to go up against Baltimore, who they lost to this season. There's just like I just have concerns. I do.
I mean, I have concerns because this offense isn't going to compete with these teams, like just straight up. Like their defense is going to have to play an amazing game for 4 rounds in a row to win a significant amount of football games this season. Like if this team does make the playoffs, their defense has to play lights out for 4 straight weeks. And it could do that. Obviously, this wasn't the best game to showcase that, but they have shown that they are a good defense. And obviously, weather factors into that going into the playoffs, that sort of thing. That's January football. Maybe that helps this team. But, your quarterback, your backup quarter, you were 16 of 37 throwing the ball in this game for 4.9 yards per attempt with 2 picks. Like, this offense isn't going to get it done against the best teams. And the hope was that Deshaun Watson can at least play a little bit better, and then this defense is great and does enough. But I just don't see that happening with this team and with this roster right now. So, yeah, I mean, as much as I like this defense, as much as I like Garrett and all this kind of stuff, I don't think right now this team is in a situation to compete because of that. They need an upgrade they need an upgrade on offense in a couple different spots. It's not even just the quarterback. Like, looking across this roster, like, Elijah Moore had a couple big catches in this game, but I still think they could use a secondary receiver. And like, I just don't think there's enough pieces to this offense to really, really compete with those guys.
Yeah. Here's the way I would phrase it. I bet against these types of teams. The great defense that doesn't have a good offense has, issues with the quarterback. Every now and then I'm wrong on a team and they're able to get to the playoffs. I've never been wrong on a team in a way where they make a deep playoff run. That's yet to happen since I've been doing this. But maybe the Browns will be the first. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, playoffs aren't out of the question for this team. I mean, if you look at it right now,
they'll be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it right now, the Steelers are in the conversation, the Browns, the Bills are obviously in that conversation for a wild card spot. I mean, there's spots to be had, so they definitely can make that. But I just, when I talk about this team potentially beating Baltimore or Miami with what we've seen from Miami this season, or Jacksonville, Kansas City, I just don't see it.
Yeah, but who knows? Maybe give PJ Walker first team reps and things could look better. It could change, but as of what I've seen right now, I haven't. I'm with you. I haven't seen it. Remember when the Atlanta Falcons tried to trade for Deshaun Watson but didn't make an offer for Lamar Jackson? They kind of screwed that one up.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Moving on.
One more thing, we just said that we don't want to do penalties too, but
we gotta talk about it.
This was a horrible call.
Yep. Bad call.
The uncatchable ball rule doesn't exist unless it's Kansas City on defense, I guess. But yeah, I mean that was a really bad call. So yeah, Colts should also feel kind of gypped here. So I get it. But at the same time, like that play was also on a 1st and goal at the 8. So like, yeah, the Browns still had chances to score. Like, it's a tough call, but I also think the Browns could have still won it. So it's whatever.
Yeah, don't give up 39 points, Colts. That's a good way to win. Let's go Lions Ravens. I know it's a blowout, but I mean it's something we got to talk about. I mean, Kyle, we thought this was going to be the game of the week, and ended up being domination. And this, I mean, Lamar Jackson's. I didn't realize the yards. I watched this one. Insane. This is when I was able to have time to go back and watch. But I didn't realize 27 attempts, 357 yards. He's well over 10 yards per attempt. 3 touchdowns, no picks. Tyler Huntley, 0 for 1 for 0 yards is the total quarterback stat line for them. Gus Edwards, I love his stat line as well. 1 catch for 80 yards. That's a good one. I mean, this was exactly what we talked about with the Ravens in terms of, we'll talk about their offense first, but this is what we were hoping it could be right away, right? Oh, can you hear me? You there? Okay. Don't know what's going on. Chat, let me know if this is Kyle or if this is me. I can hear Kyle. Sounds like he's zipping something. I think his AirPods died. Okay, maybe that was it. Okay, got it. So no worries. I'll take this. I'm gonna remove Kyle until he comes back. So we'll do this. It's just me now. Just me doing this show. I really thought that the way that, there was like this one play where I made a film study on it, but there's a play where Odell was running just a clear out route and the safety was like just gone all the way down the field. The way that these, all these different receivers coming through and making plays. Rashad Bateman, he only had 2 catches, but he had a couple of like just winning on the outside type of plays, which is, I think, really important in how they were able to do it. So, this was a disappointing loss by the Lions. There's no getting around it. And I do wonder a bit if this is a bit of a blueprint now for the Lions of, you know, some things were very good. No denying it. Some things the Lions have been very good this season, but this is now back-to-back weeks where a defense kind of plays a very similar scheme and is able to, I don't want to say shut the Lions defense down, because 2 weeks ago they still scored 20, but really, I think, limit the Lions offense. And I do wonder if teams continue to play this way, is it going to create some issues? So, that's definitely something we have to look towards. I'm going to see if Kyle, I've added you to the stream. I don't know if you can hear me or what's going on. This is just what Kyle looks like. So, they've got that going on. But anyway, yeah. It was a, I don't know. I'm just trying to view this as like, chat. Ask me a question or two about the game. We can get it going that way. But I guess, hey, Jahmyr Gibbs was able to get some stuff going, 6.2 yards per carry. So there's that positive to take away. At the end of the day, I don't think this is something to be panicked about. If you're Detroit, these games do happen, but it's certainly something to be concerned about. You have a couple of get-right games. Actually, a few get-right games in a row. You play the Raiders, the Chargers. Oh, Kyle, you're back.
I don't know what happened there. I had charged my AirPods earlier, and for some reason they just shut off. So that was bizarre. Sorry about that, everybody.
No worries. You're good. I killed as much time as I can. I just asked for questions, and right afterwards, you showed up. So I can ask, is OBJ not washed? He looks not washed, not fully washed, at least. Where was the Lions' D line? Well, it's hard because if you just rush the passer, Lamar's going to get outside the pocket. So, it's Lamar was great. Lamar MVP candidate.
Yeah, he definitely should be at this point. That was an impressive game. This was a statement for the Ravens. We had some concerns with how the offense, I think, looked at times during the first few weeks of the season, and this looked like it got all put together. Monken obviously called a great game in this one. They executed, and I even think like the defensive line in this game, I think Aiden Hutchinson got after Lamar a few times and nearly got to him a couple times, but Lamar is special in his ability to extend plays and make some crazy things happen. So this was just this should just be a huge hats off to the Ravens. I'm not concerned about Detroit. Like, I think every team's due for a bad game, so this is fine. But no, I think this says a lot more about the Ravens and who they are.
Let me ask you. I'm not sure how much you heard. I'm assuming not that much with your AirPod fiasco.
Yeah.
So I asked the question: is it possible there's a little bit of a blueprint here? We talked about this kind of previewing it with the Buccaneers, kind of blitzing a lot, mixing a lot of things up to confuse the Lions offense. Ravens run a very similar scheme. Is it possible that, again, you have to have specific personnel like those two teams have to pull that off, but is it possible that there is at least, a bad matchup that we have discovered here with the Lions?
Potentially. I want to see it a little bit more before, let's see how they counter it, I guess, is the question, and I'm trying to think back to that time when he was with Los Angeles. It's been so long, it feels like at this point, but I believe one of the sticking points was Jared Goff was not as good under pressure, right? Like, that was one of the things that why they wanted to go to Stafford and make that trade at the end of the day. So, maybe that plays a big part in it. Maybe they, we'll see how the Lions adjust to it, but it could be a question going forward. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Interesting way that game broke out. Steelers Rams. Kyle, I tried to warn you. Never bet against Mike Tomlin. You can't do it. Somehow, some way, Steelers voodoo magic. The Steelers find a way. It's just what they do. You have TJ Watt, like legitimately just like playing like off-ball linebacker and still getting interceptions. I mean, this is an absurd team, an absurd way to win. Kenny Pickett, hey, 25 attempts, 230 yards, you'll take that. And Stafford, obviously, you don't love the interception there. Puka Nacua, 154 yards. No one else really was able to get a ton of yards here in this one offensively for the Rams. And the Steelers move up to 4-2. They're, we kind of just viewed them as like, oh yeah, that's cute what you're doing. They keep doing it. At a certain point, it's working.
It definitely is still working. I cannot believe this team. Like, honestly, I can't believe the offensive numbers do look better because they had the final scoring drive, but like at times it didn't look great. I think getting Deontay Johnson back in this lineup definitely helped the offense. Najee Harris weirdly had it wasn't like a huge stat day, but he had some good runs. That was some of the better Najee Harris runs that I've seen this season. And then George Pickens continues to be the guy, but yeah, I don't know. Like this Steelers team's going to baffle me. This is the Miami Heat of the NFL. Like this team doesn't seem like it should be good. It doesn't seem like it is good. But then all of a sudden we're going to look at the end of the season and it's 10-7 and in the playoffs. And they just pull these games out. So, yeah, I mean it's a weird team and they continue to win football games, and it starts with the defensive presence and then the offense got better this week.
Yeah, and if this offense can get because Kenny Pickett was a good player as a rookie. Like he wasn't just awful throwing interceptions every play. I mean, he did throw a lot of interceptions, but that was kind of fluky. Like he was good as a rookie. And then all of a sudden this year, he really struggled. If he can get back to just playing solid football, and maybe that's with George Pickens emerging as the number one receiver, this is this team is I think a legit playoff team if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, this was a trendy sleeper pick in the offseason, and maybe this would be the team that it is if they can figure this offense out. I still didn't think it looked great at times, but it was significantly better than what we had seen. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to think of this team, but it looked like a step in the right direction. So this AFC North is going to be a bloodbath now. This is going to be really difficult to differentiate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean Ravens, Steelers, Browns, Bengals. What a bloodbath, as you said. The how we're feeling about the Rams. I mean, it's we keep saying the Rams are impressive. The Rams are impressive. You do have to win football games eventually, though. And they're 3-4. They're playing the Cowboys this next week. I still think there's a lot of talent here. But again, if you want to be a playoff team, this is kind of a game you got to go out and win.
Yeah, there's a couple games now on their schedule that you could feel like are some letdown games. This one, and you could probably point to the Cincinnati game. Maybe just don't play the AFC North. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's just I still think it's a good team, and I don't think that 7 spot is going to be that competitive to get to. But at the same time, I agree with you. They have to find a way to win some of these games and pull some of these games out in the end. So maybe it's not competitive, but I don't view it as anything more. Maybe they're just they get that 7 spot and lose in the first round, and that's who they are.
Puka Nacua is awesome.
It's the best receiver in football ever, literally ever. Did you see that catch on the sideline?
Yeah, absurd. But it was incredible. And I know we're kind of making jokes, but he is legitimately a really good receiver. He is he's been awesome.
Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Well, I think unfortunately, it seems like CJ Stroud's going to get that unless he gets injured.
I would agree with that. But yeah, I mean, he has been terrific. He's been a high impact guy. It seems like each and every week.
What would he have to do? Would he have to break a record? He have to break a record. If he can break the Justin Jefferson rookie yards record, I think he has a chance.
Yeah, or CJ Stroud starts playing bad, but we'll see.
Yeah, probably number 2 on that list right now. Let's go Packers Broncos. This was a close game as you gave a head shake. Are you mad I went with this game still with a few games left?
Honestly, I started making dinner towards the end of the last game, the afternoon games.
Okay.
And I was just thinking in my head, no way the Broncos won this game. And I didn't realize until 30 minutes ago the Broncos won this game. So I had to go back and watch that last drive. The Broncos won this game. I guess that's what I could take away from this.
Yeah, I mean, we got to talk about the Packers. I think the Broncos, whatever. To be honest, we know who the Broncos are. Weirdly, they're a defensive team now. I guess we don't know what the Broncos are. What's going on there? The Packers, though, I mean, this is this Jordan Love thing hasn't looked great so far. It hasn't.
Mhm.
And it's just baffling to me. We got to do the receiving thing again of like that they're just not willing to go after wide receivers. Their leading receiver in this game was AJ Dillon with 34 yards. Jordan Love only 180 yards, threw an interception, had some tough plays. He did have a couple of nice plays, but even like the 2 touchdowns, one was just an underthrown ball that Romeo Dobbs, ended up, it was like a simultaneous possession play. He goes back and is able to grab it and they get the touchdown. And then the other one was a good play, but it was still like Dobbs dropped it. And then it's Jaden Reed ended up catching it off the deflection and they got the touchdown that way. So it's like he probably just earned a touchdown there anyway. It just happened in a weird way. But it was still like, he made some nice plays, but he looks like a rookie out there. I mean, that's
Mhm.
how I view it. Like he looks like a completely unproven player, which kind of makes some sense, but it's also part of why you don't have a player sit for so long because it just you need to figure it out sooner if they're good or not.
Well, the problem is like he is now getting all the blame for the Packers' offensive failures, just
Hmm.
like just like he was getting all the praise for the Packers' success in those 2 wins earlier in the season, right?
Right.
And both of those were probably wrong. And you were basically like, let's pump the brakes. Um, let's pump the brakes on Jordan Love after the first few weeks. You said, this he was fine, but it wasn't anything spectacular or anything like that. And then now it's like we gotta pile on Jordan Love because this team's losing games. And this is, just getting back to my thing. This drives me crazy about our quarterback talk and all this kind of stuff. Like I don't think this is all his fault. I don't think it's. I wouldn't even say he's the biggest like one of the 3 biggest culprits so far. I don't think he's been great, but at the same time, like you said, this situation has not been awesome around him right now. And this is the Packers' failure to kind of build a competitive offense over these last couple seasons. And this team is struggling offensively because of the way they've handled this roster. And I don't think it's all on Jordan Love.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, but also, well, I totally agree, and I can't believe that they still don't go out and get receivers. Uh, At the same time, this season is all about Jordan Love. If you have a bad year, but Jordan Love looks awesome, you're happy. If you have a good year and Jordan Love looks terrible, you're not happy. Right now, looks like you're having a bad year and Jordan Love doesn't look good. So it's just a tough situation for them.
Yeah, it is. This team's just bad, right? Like this is a
Yeah,
bad team.
yeah.
Like and then like
They
they
lost to
still can't.
Denver. Yes.
Yeah, I mean they still can't stop the run. Like Javante Williams goes off in this game, or didn't really go off, but he had a big day. Uh, this is a bad football team. That's what it is, and that's it's not changing just because it's the Green Bay Packers and we're used to them being good.
Right. Hey, Broncos got a win. Good for them. Russell Wilson still looks okay.
Yeah, I guess so. I,
Hmm.
I don't have
Yeah.
anything else there. Look, I mean, the defense has played a lot better since the first half of that Bears game. Like,
Hmm.
since the second half of the Bears game till now, they have played pretty competitive. So, I guess they figured some things out at that halftime break. I don't know what happened, but like, Patrick Surtain has made some really nice plays. He almost had another pick in this game, 50-50 ball that could have been his way, like you were saying. Um, Kareem Jackson's a lunatic. But outside
Yeah.
of that, I don't really have anything else on the Broncos. It's just they're not competing this year. It still feels like a weird team, but they're able to pull out this win.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on. We have 5 games left to talk about. How about Balls Giants? As deaths, taxes, and the Giants finding a way to beat the Commanders, I guess. They play up to Washington. Washington yet to get a win now in the past several trips playing the Giants. They did have a tie last season, but Tyrod Taylor looking good. Like Tyrod Taylor making plays, which is nice to see if you're a Giants fan. Darren Waller 98 yards, maybe if nothing else, could be a trade target, could get you some value that way. Kyle, I made a video this past week of hypothetical trades. I threw out Darren Waller to the Dolphins. I thought that would be fun.
Yeah, I'd be open to that. That'd be
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah. But I
They
mean,
could have Devontae Parker back.
okay, yeah. Sam Howell ended Washington offense. I don't know. Maybe the Giants defense has found something. You got to give them credit. Like they have had a couple good defensive performances now, but also not great here by Washington.
This is an equally bad offensive line for Washington. Maybe not equally bad because the Giants' offensive line is atrocious, but it's a pretty bad offensive line. Lawrence Thibodeau, these guys I thought looked really good in this game. Leonard Williams performance I thought for the defensive line overall. Um, but yeah, I mean, I I don't know what this Washington team's doing. Like, I just don't know what it's like. I'm sorry, but like, I know they fell down 14-0 in this game. But in a 2-1 score game, there's no situation where Sam Howell should be throwing the ball 42 times to 19 runs. Like, there just isn't. Like, this is not a team that's built to throw the ball 40 times. And it just feels like a whole lot of the game I'm watching for these Commanders games is Sam Howell back to pass and holding the ball forever and either, throws it over somebody or gets sacked. He gets sacked a lot because they're asking him to throw the ball a lot. He has this season, he has passing attempt games of 42, 51, 41, and 39. Like, this team shouldn't be doing this. Like, what is the explanation for this team throwing the ball this much?
I mean, I think the explanation is you have Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Curtis Samuel. Like, I kind of feel like this is a team built to do that. It's just they don't have the guy to throw it that far. Like that's the issue.
Well, they don't have the quarterback or the offensive line to maximize that too. So, like, you have
I think the offensive line. I don't think it's good, but I think that Sam Howell makes it look worse.
that's probably true, but
Hmm.
you also have to know you're starting just like Jordan Love. I mean, he looks like a rookie. It's his second year.
Yeah.
So, in his first year starting, you have to know who your personnel is. I know that's a good receiving core, but if you wanted to maximize that receiving core, go get a veteran quarterback. Don't do this. Play Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah. Right. The Giants passing the ball down the field, plus Daniel Jones not starting, is no coincidence. Giants offensive line, worst unit on the team, but the team's biggest need is quarterback. Giants defense has improved week to week. Yeah, I agree about the Giants defense. I mean, it is unfortunate that you went out and paid a quarterback $40 million, and Tyrod Taylor, who's a good backup, is looking much better right now. And if I also have to say this, if you're like, hey, it's nice to see us now pushing the ball down the field when Tyrod Taylor is in the game, I mean, what is happening here, Kyle?
Yeah, that is
If
not
Tyrod
a
Taylor is the guy who is pushing
yeah.
the ball further down the field than you, I mean, that's not, he literally has never done that in his life.
Yeah, downfield passing threat to Tyrod Taylor. It's not it's not great. And I don't think he's better than Daniel Jones. I'll start with that. Like, I
Yeah,
don't think he's the
I agree.
solution or anything like that. But it has looked a little more fluid. And
Mhm.
I think I know he took 4 sacks in this game, but one of the things for Daniel Jones has always been the tendency to hold the ball a little bit too long, and it doesn't help that your offensive line isn't good. So I think all that plays a part of the Giants. Like I said, I think this defense, I agree with that. It has been playing better week to week. This defensive line has been good. Um, I know McLaurin got going a little bit in the second half of this game, but Deontay Banks has looked pretty good too. Like, he looks like
Mhm.
a good get for a corner. So yeah, I mean, it was a good win for the Giants. They played well defensively. I don't really know what else to make of it.
Yeah. Also, also worth mentioning, in the two games with Tyrod Taylor, 14 points this week, 9 points last week. So it's not like they're exactly lighting the scoreboard on fire.
I know.
Might be that when your defense plays better, people give you more credit. Might be part of it too. Ooh, Kyle, next week we got Jets Giants. That's that'll be a great one.
New York's going to be really excited. The rest of the world is not.
Yeah, it kind of sucks when you get a home game that's Jets Giants. Like if you're one of those things, you want the away game there.
Yeah, that's true.
Hmm. All right. Well, yeah.
Well,
Moving on.
yeah.
Glad great talk there. Let's go to the Thursday game. Why don't we? As there was a lot to talk about. This was Saints were a dropped pass away from tying this game. As it felt like it was over. Derek Carr threw a pick six, and kind of I think I even turned the game off for a bit and went to do something. And I checked, and all of a sudden oh, it's a game again. They were able to get a couple touchdown drives to get back in this one. The Saints were. They tied it, in fact. Then Jaguars marched down the field, got another score. The Saints drove all the way back. It was a really exciting game, really exciting finish after kind of a lackluster start for New Orleans. And then the drop happens. Saints aren't able to get it done. Kyle, I mean, I think the biggest winner of today might have been the Saints, or not the biggest winner today, but the biggest winner of the Falcons Buccaneers game might have been New Orleans, given how they looked. I still think the Saints team is dead. Maybe I'm crazy. I still feel like, yes, there's issues here. They still feel like a team that has the highest ceiling out of any of these NFC South teams.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely do. Like, I still, despite Derek Carr having some struggles this year, I mean, he's still probably easily the best quarterback in this division.
Hmm.
Um, I still think they're talented on offense, even though this offense continues to frustrate me and baffle me.
Yeah.
Um, like, yeah, I mean, I still think that they're perfectly capable of winning this division. They're a game behind Atlanta too, so they're definitely not out. But
Hmm.
my God, when can we figure out how this offense is actually going to look fully formed? Like, there's too many talented players for this team to middle on offense all this time. Like, I think they're doing a great job of integrating Kamara in this offense, which, I mean, you told Derek Carr he could take some checkdowns to Kamara. He said, yes, please. I'll take all of those I can. He loves throwing the ball at the line of scrimmage. That's all I got to say. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think like there's too many guys in this offense for it to consistently fall flat. This team should be a lot more explosive than it is, and not just in the fourth quarter of football games.
Yeah, I agree. We have a super chat. Do we have 50% or beat Pats? Kyle, do you know what this means?
Do we have 50% or beat Pats?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Um,
Maybe.
thank you for if you
Yeah.
could clarify, we'll answer.
Yes. Yeah. You don't have to send a super chat to clarify. You can put it in the comments. But appreciate the super chat. For the Jaguars, I mean, you got the win. A lot of people were kind of saying like, man, Jaguars, not looking overly impressive. I don't know. They're 5-2. I feel like this is like their offense did come alive at the end here. Like, I get there's still some issues, but I don't know. Like, what more do you want from them? Okay, I guess they could have beaten Kansas City. That would have been cool. And they had that bad Texans loss, but this divisional matchups, like, I don't know. They look good.
Yeah, I thought they looked fine in this game. You could also
Hmm.
argue maybe they had their best defensive player out and played pretty well defensively, I thought, for the majority of the game. Um, I guess the one question I have is like this offense. Like, I think Trevor Lawrence has played pretty well this year. Like, I think
Hmm.
he's been good. He's got 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 67% completion percentage. I think he's been very good with the football. And like, I think, as you mentioned before, like the reason why you had him as the number 2 quarterback that draft was that there are some, he makes some crazy, he made some poor decisions in college. And I'm seeing a lot less of those poor decisions from him. I think week to week, it's getting even better and better. The one thing is, like, can they have a dominant offensive day, like, just once? Like I'm waiting for, like, the Lawrence leap for me is, like, he has a game where he can have, like, consistent, like, 300 plus yard passing days where, you know, he just seems to be this team seems to be firing on cylinders. Like, I think he has objectively good games week after week after week, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a very good quarterback. But, like, can we see the dominant Jaguars offense for a couple weeks? That's all I wanna see.
I agree. Also, we have a clarification, although I don't know if it's. I'm still lost here. 60% or 60 chance to beat Pats is the Kyle. Are you understanding? I was wondering, are you a Dolphins fan saying do you have a 60% chance to beat the Patriots? Is that the question? Are we getting trolled here? What's happening, Kyle?
Uh,
Okay,
50% chance to
50%
beat
chance to beat Pats this year, but which team?
Uh, I would say a lot of teams have a 50% chance to beat the Patriots this year at least. So yes,
The
I
answer is
agree.
probably yes, regardless of what team it is.
Maybe not the Jets because Zach Wilson does not play very well against the Patriots. But outside of that, yeah, I think a lot of teams would have a 50% chance of beating them.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, 50% or Pete Pats. The question of our times. Kyle, any final thoughts on this one?
No, I think we addressed it all. Just I think the Lions. Oh my gosh, the Jaguars have looked good but not great. So we'll see how it looks in the final weeks of the season.
Speaking of not great, let's go. Well, let's go to Chargers Chiefs. Chargers, hey, kept it competitive for a bit. Kyle, Taylor Swift was at this game. Not sure if you noticed. There was I saw the Taylor Swift subreddit. Did a game thread for this one. And it was called the NFL Taylor's version, which I thought was funny. So that's a thing going on now. Patrick Mahomes, just a casual 424 yards, over 10 yards per attempt. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. So he's pretty good. Travis Kelsey, 179 of those yards. That's going to get it done for sure. Both offenses looked great to start. Things kind of went off the rails for the Chargers. But hey, we saw Quentin Johnson made a play in this one. There you go.
One catch. Yeah, he
Yeah,
did do that.
it's a nice catch.
Yeah, it was. Look, I mean, the Chiefs continue to check the boxes defensively. They did a good job in this game. They got after Herbert. They caused a lot of pressure, made some big plays. And then this is what we wanted to see this offense continue to look like. And I thought this offense was terrific in this game. Mahomes is now the favorite for MVP, and maybe we were just waiting for Mahomes to win MVP again. This was a fantastic game. He dominated from the start. Got Kelsey involved early, often. I still think they could use another receiver, even though like Rashay Rice, I think has looked really good in that secondary receiver role. Maybe that's an option going forward to continue to develop him. But like, yeah, I mean the Chiefs. This felt like the most impressive Chiefs win of the year, um, and they've had some impressive wins this year.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely very impressive. Them blowing the brakes off the Bears was great, although it is the Bears. So, what do you take from that? But yeah, I don't disagree. This was especially after kind of offense has been sputtering for really 3 weeks in a row against the Jets, the Vikings, and the Broncos, not looking as dominant as we expect. Seeing it kind of go back to that dominance is very good. The Chargers are. I can't think of a single word to say about the Chargers we haven't said this season. I can't think of it's like say one new thing about the Chargers.
No, it's inconsistent. They need their stars to be awesome, and their stars weren't awesome today. I mean, and it wasn't even like just the Herbert thing, which the first interception was deflected. Obviously, I thought he and Spurts played well, and then Spurts did not. Like Eckler didn't play well. They were able to kind of bottle up Keenan Allen at times during this game, and yeah, I mean, they are definitely they are the Los Angeles Angels in the NFL. I mean, it's the same team.
Hmm.
They're the second team in their city. They have all these stars, these really marketable players, but they can't win on the margins. They don't have good players on the margins, and it's going to prevent them from winning a lot of football games. So it's the same exact team. You know, I don't know. I got nothing else about that.
The Chiefs are Super Bowl favorites, right?
I think they should be the favorites in the AFC. Like,
I just feel like they're probably the I don't know. If the Chiefs are playing the 49ers today, I think I'm picking the Chiefs to win.
would you?
I think so.
I'm still leaning 49ers. I'm not wavering after one bet.
Okay. I
So,
like it. I like it.
um,
Sticking with it.
but yeah, I mean, I think this team looks fantastic, and there's not a lot of counters to Patrick Mahomes too. So, um, yeah, I mean, no, I would agree with that. I think that they're in the conversation for sure, and they certainly look better than everybody else right now.
Yeah. Big win for the Chiefs. One of the games we were able to predict right last week, Kyle. Look at us. I guess let's go to the other one that we predicted right. Seahawks Cardinals. I'm assuming we picked the Seahawks to win. You picked the Seahawks to win that one. Um, you know, the Josh Dobbs thing was a fun story for a bit. What right?
It was a fun story for a bit.
Hmm.
And he competes his ass off, man. I mean, there's
Yeah.
even like some running plays. He's like trying to fight through multiple tacklers. Um, it's bizarre. Like yeah. I mean, it's not a very talented team at the end of the day. They just don't have the pieces, so I can't really get that mad about it. The I th- the Seahawks at times didn't look good in this game, and I think that's probably the bigger story. Like Jackson Smith and Jigba and Jake Boba both caught touchdowns. They both had pretty good days. But still, this team at times feels like it falls a little flat.
Yeah, it's. I agree. Another bad interception by Geno Smith in this one in the red zone. Like you can't be doing that. They looked really good against the Giants, but that's the Giants. They looked really good against the Lions, but I don't know. Maybe that's not as impressive as we thought it was. So I think it's still impressive. They were able to get that one. Um, you know, but I agree. Other than that, this has been an underwhelming start to the season, and they show flashes of that team. This was a it's weird because you win by double digits against a division rival. You can't be mad at it, but not quite as impressive as maybe you would hope. But I don't know. I guess the other way to look at it would be they're making the mistakes now while they're still figuring things out.
Yeah, and they are winning this game. I mean,
Hmm.
like outside of the 3-0 turnover differential, they were kind of in control of this game. right? So you
Yeah.
can't really fault that if they, if they take care of the ball, they probably win this game, 35-10 rather than
Hmm.
20-10. So I can't complain about it too much, but at the same time, I think this is a team that, despite having the record that it does, it's 4-2. I think we had a higher level of expectation for this team heading into the season than what we've seen. Um, I guess that the positive is you could say the defense is playing well. Devin Witherspoon does look really good. So there is pieces here. You just want to see it all put together soon.
Yeah. And hey, if Jake Bobo was on the Patriots, he'd be their number one receiver.
Why do you got to do that?
Just saying.
Uh, I wouldn't trade Demario Douglas straight up for Jake Bobo. That's what I got to say.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Final game. Maybe Brian Hoyer isn't actually a good quarterback in the NFL currently, as the Raiders lose to the Chicago Bears 12-30. This was a game that I have not watched personally, Kyle. I did not have time to go back and check it out, but it seems like from what I've read, Tyson Bagent, I don't know. It seemed like from what he played decently well. Maybe that was not true at all. I don't know. I didn't see the game. I'm sorry, Kyle. You're gonna have to carry this one.
The glimpses I saw of this game, I thought he played fine, but I- there's not a quarterback controversy. That's what I got to say. I mean, it wasn't
Okay.
anything like that. I mean, he made some good throws. He made some good plays, but I mean, at the same time, it was 162 yards in this game. It wasn't like it was anything to write home about. But it was a good first start. Like, I don't want to take it away from him. It's a good first start. It's a good first win. Good for Tyson Badgett. Um, this Bears team, at times, this offense has looked like kind of competitive. For as much as we've kind of made fun of this team, like, they've had moments of sort of like clarity this season. I think you could say, like, 3 of the last 4 weeks they've been competitive and look good offensively.
Yeah, I agree. The Chicago's been there's things to like. I mean,
Mhm.
they had that awful start to the year against Green Bay and against Tampa Bay, and even against Tampa Bay, they were in it. I mean, they had a chance down one score with the ball in their hands late in the fourth, and then threw a pick six, so that's not good. But like, they had a chance in that game, and then Kansas City happened. But they've been, I don't know, post week 3, the Bears have been who we thought they would be.
Yeah, I would agree with that. They've looked at least a little bit better. So I still don't think it's a very good defensive team. Like,
Hmm.
I do think the Raiders did leave some points on the board in this game. Devontae Adams dropped a touchdown. There's a few other plays there, but at the same time, it was a convincing win. So good for Chicago, and you know 2-5 now on the season. Look at that. I do think this probably is. I know their backup quarterbacks in there, which obviously wasn't a good situation. But like, for all the positives we said about this the Raiders defense the last couple weeks, it definitely didn't come to fruition in this game, and that was probably the biggest thing. Although Tyree Wilson did get a sack.
Hey, there you go. Nice to see that. But yeah, this is kind of a disaster by the Raiders. It's a tough loss. It is. You expected more. Only scoring 12 against this Bears defense. I know it's Brian Hoyer, but like, what you're already shuffling around Aiden O'Connell, Brian Hoyer. Like, how are you already doing this? There's a quarterback controversy between who should be quarterback two, which is not something you see too often. And like, you know, Garoppolo, I think obviously would help a lot, but you got to it's a disappointing loss for the Raiders, for a team that maybe had a slight hopes at getting a playoff spot. It's gonna be hard now.
Yeah, I mean, they're not out of it, but at the same time, this does feel like kind of a damning loss, right? Like, they have to compete for one of those 7 spots, and you know i- if they lose by a game, you're gonna look at this Bears loss and be like, well, this was the one, right? Like, this is a team. 4-3 is definitely a better spot to be in at this point.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, Kyle, that's our show. I don't know. Did you have any final thoughts on the baseball?
That game was fun today. We've
Hmm.
had some really good games these last few days.
Yeah.
The other Angel or Rangers Houston Astros game. Um, I just can't with this Houston team, man. Like, plunking Garcia for hitting the home run last game, I thought was
Hmm.
just such a soft move. Like, and this team is like legitimately one of the most impressive runs of baseball of like the last 20, 30 years. Like, this is an impressive stretch of baseball for this team. But I just thought that was such a soft move. Like, and you're already not liked to begin with. Like, I just, I don't know. I can't get over it. I can't root for this team. I just can't.
I love it. They're the best villains in sports. I love a good villain, and they're exactly that.
Yeah. So game 7 should be fun. Maybe I think it's going to be Max Scherzer. See if he bounces back. He had his first start back, game 3. So this will be interesting.
Yeah, that's insane. I think the Astros are going to win tomorrow.
You think so?
I think so. Just a pitching situation with Texas. That who knows? Maybe it'll be one of those. I mean, this game could be like 9-8 tomorrow. Like, who knows?
Yeah. This bullpen continues to frighten the hell out of me for the Rangers. Like, I
Yeah.
don't trust any of these guys, and they've come up with some big plays in the postseason. Although obviously Altuve hit that big home run, but at the same
Mhm.
time, like I just don't trust it. Nathan Eovaldi, good playoff pitcher.
Yeah.
Another good start in this one though.
Yeah.
Bruins are winning the Stanley Cup too, so there's that.
Okay. There you go. Nice. Always nice to see the former Rays do well on other teams.
Who's the former Ray?
Nathan Eovaldi.
Was he on the Rays?
Yeah. That was how you got him. We traded him.
Oh wow.
Uh huh.
I definitely did not.
Hmm.
uh, I liked him for the Red Sox. I know he played for the Yankees for a long time. He's bounced around.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. A lot of good sports going on. Kyle, let them know where you can find us on Twitter before we head out, as they probably already headed out. Once we started talking about baseball.
Yeah. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Make sure to follow him at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Gronin. And make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Of course, you have like audio only podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, check it out. That's On the Sideline podcast. Kyle, it's this week. We're doing an earlier show on Wednesday, right?
Yes. Yes. We are going to be on at 5 p.m. Eastern because I got to go to San Antonio for a basketball game. That'll be fun. So 5 p.m. Eastern Wednesday, we're going to get after it, do all of our picks.
Yes. So everyone be on the lookout for that, and then we'll be back regular time on Sunday. So yeah, Kyle, any final thoughts?
Nope. Looking forward to Monday night. Looking forward to our baseball games. Looking forward to the start of basketball season. I think we got it all put together now. So let's get out of here.
Yes. Let's get out of here again. Thank you to everybody. We do appreciate it. And until next time, have a good one.
Peace.